I want you to tell that to the South Africans. It will give
Yes.
them encouragement. Yes.
Yani, for me, I was lucky in my career because I was handling no, like South America and people there. Yes, yeah.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace and blessings to all our listeners, wherever you may be listening. Welcome to a special edition of Salam Media, and I feel privileged that we are recording this afternoon from the residence of Her Excellency, the Palestinian Ambassador, Sister Hanaan Jarrar. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the special edition on Salam Media.
Alaikum salam, and thank you for hosting me. It's a pleasure and honor.
So this past 3 weeks, you've been very active. We've been seeing you out there, uh, joining the rallies, offering support for Palestine. I know it's a difficult time back home. You have family, you have loved ones, you have friends around there. Well, your heart, half your heart is cemented in South Africa, but the other half is in Palestine with everybody out there. So tell me, what was your feeling like over this past 3 weeks?
Well, I can tell you that I was overwhelmed with what's going on back home, that I didn't even have a feeling toward anything. I just want only to to expose the Israeli atrocities against our people here. And thank God that I'm hosted in a country that have so much appreciation for Palestine and its people, has so much love for humanity itself. This really was an easing factor for me to do my work and to be there and to share with the solidarity campaigns and with the marches and with the pickets that were organized everywhere almost in South Africa.
Were you, as you mentioned, you were overwhelmed by the response and the support and the awareness, as well as I think the many campaigns, as you mentioned, little children in South Africa collecting funds for their counterparts in, well, it's Gaza, West Bank, in Jerusalem as well. How did it make you feel? Do you feel like you're not alone here in South Africa? You are
No.
supported by a new South African family?
Yes, of course. Really, I always say that I'm in my home, away from my home. So this is how I describe my stay here in South Africa. And really, during the past 3 weeks, especially in the month of Ramadan, it was a little bit difficult with all the things that were happening in Palestine. First of all, in Sheikh Jarrah, then the drastic escalation of the Israeli violence, even against Palestinian worshippers, whether during the Easter or during their prayers in Al-Aqsa Mosque. It was really very heavy on my heart to comprehend what's going on back in Palestine, especially that you, as a human being, when you are in the loop, for example, if I was in Palestine, I would be more comfortable to be there because I know what's going on and I'm part of it. But now you are far away, so you feel that you are like your hands are like cuffed. You do not know what to do, how to act. But thank God that I'm in here among my people. I consider whether it was the government, whether it was the political parties, the parliament, the solidarity movement. Here in South Africa, which is very strong and very viable when it comes to Palestine, and even the normal people. Yeah, the other day I went for a coffee shop to have some coffee early in the morning, and before that I was interviewed by the one of the mainstream media TVs here in South Africa. So when I came into the coffee shop, the waiter said, "Oh, ma'am, I just saw you on the on the TV. You have all our support." Then when I finished, he was looking outside and, "Ma'am, your driver is here." So oh my goodness, I was really overwhelmed by the amount of love that I have here. And this is something I would really to thank the people of South Africa for offering us such a love, such passion that really helped us in surviving and continuing with our efforts during these difficult times.
And I think part of it is because many, especially from my generation as well, and I think the generations beyond, we were in a similar situation in terms of um, choices we didn't have. opportunities that were missed, and this was just based on the color of our skin and our culture. So I think we able to do this in what the Palestinian struggle and the struggle against apartheid was together. So concurrently, it happened. Alhamdulillah, in 1994, we enjoyed a democratic South Africa. We were all given that opportunities, and as we keep on reiterating at marches, and that what our late great statesman Nelson Mandela said, South Africa can never be truly free if our Palestinian counterparts don't experience that freedom and an end to Israeli occupation and apartheid Israel. Do you think Israel is an apartheid state? Because I've seen many writers recently. Warren Goldstein here put it in the newspaper in the Sunday Times. He said, "Dear Mr. President, that Israel is not an apartheid state. The Palestinians have many opportunities. They are well represented in the parliament in Jerusalem. Sheikh Jarrah was a court issue, and there were many points he put in there. But in your opinion, is Israel an apartheid state?"
Well, it doesn't only come to my opinion because I'm not a researcher, but it comes to human simple sense. It's a common sense. Like for example, when you have different identity cards with different colors for different people in different places, and each identity card identify the places that you are allowed to go to and the places you are not allowed to go to, then this is an apartheid. When you have roads that were constructed only for the sake of an Israeli settlers inside your home land and you are not allowed to use them, then this is an apartheid state. When you are geographically disconnected each Palestinian area from another, like for example, Gaza is always portrayed, and even here in South Africa, is always like I find South Africans talking about Gaza as it's a different area that is not connected to Palestine. No, Gaza is an area that is part of Palestine, an integral part of Palestine. But because the Israeli administration portray it always as a different area, because of the geographical connectivity that they are disseminating between Palestinian areas, then this is an apartheid state. It's not me, the ambassador of Palestine, or Hanaan in a personal capacity that to decide whether Israel an apartheid state or not. It's the practices of the state itself that shows it is an apartheid state by facts, by things that they are creating on the ground. Even Palestinians, the 2 million Palestinians living inside the state of Israel and have the Israeli let's say, passports, they do not enjoy the same rights as the Israeli Jews inside Israel. So it is an apartheid state. When you have discrimination, even among your own people, the black and the white, then this is an apartheid state. An apartheid state is identified when you try to maintain supremacy of one group over another. And this is what Israel is. Israel is a state that tries to maintain Jewish supremacy over other groups. Then this is an apartheid state. There has been two major reports on this area issued by two major organizations. The first one was issued by B'Tselem, and B'Tselem is a leading human rights organization, Israeli organization, stated that Israel from the Jordan, the river of Jordan till the Mediterranean Sea is an apartheid state because it's not a democracy as it's portrayed itself, because it's a kind of a regime that tries to maintain control of the Jews over the other groups. The other important report on this regard is the Human Rights Watch organization, which issued an important report late March, stating that Israel, by its practices of aggression against Palestinians, is an apartheid state. So the practices of the state itself disseminate the fact that it's an apartheid state.
Thank you for the comprehensive explanation, and I think it's clear now, and it's left now to our listeners, our viewers, to process, but very valid points. And thank you for substantiating this. And when you were speaking, I said one of the major difficulties, and I think this was highlighted in the recent Academy nominated movie by British Palestinian producer Farah Nablusi, in terms of a recent documentary, a movie that was the present, and it highlighted the everyday struggles of the Palestinians. So, irrespective when aggressions flare up or not, this is your daily reality. And yourself, Ambassador Hanan, had experienced this because you're an ambassador in South Africa. You have certain privileges that bestowed upon you because you're a diplomat here, and you have access to travel. You need to attend a rally in East London just to organize your travel logistics, and up you hop to East London. But when you visit and go back home to West Bank, how easy it is for you to access and go and pray 2 rakat salah in Masjid Aqsa.
Well, as a very normal Palestinian citizen, I was born and raised, and I went to school. Then I went to college. Then I got married, and I had children. Then my children going to university and school now, but all in a very abnormal situation. I've never felt that I'm free, despite the fact that I was in my homeland, until I was going out of the borders of Palestine. Because in Palestine, they always say that devil in details. In Palestine, it's easy to portray it as a place of war zone or hardships. But when it comes to reality and to the daily life, it is even more than hell. Because, for example, as a Palestinian living in Ramallah, which is 15 minutes in the car far away from Jerusalem, East Jerusalem, which is supposed to be, according to Oslo Accord, the capital of the Palestinian people. I cannot go there. I need to, first of all, I need a permit. Who issued the permit? The Israelis. And it's upon them whether I can get a permit or not. I want to have a permit, then I have to apply before 1 week so that I can get a permit after 1 week. That's in the best case scenario. Then I have to go through Kalandia checkpoint. I don't want to call it a crossing point, because a crossing point, it means that we are two different entities. No, Kalandia is a checkpoint that separates between Ramallah and East Jerusalem. I have to go through this. I can call it that it's a daily dehumanization of the Palestinian people to go through this checkpoint daily, because you have to go through a very small tunnel, like you are a cow going into slaughtering, and with high walls, exactly like high walls, like it's psychologically terrifying experience. So that to think several times before you apply again a permit to go into Jerusalem. So it is like a very systematic psychological issue to avoid you, or to make you think twice and three times before repeating this experience again, to limit your access to your city, the city that you need to go as Jerusalem. Because as a Muslim, I have Al-Aqsa Mosque there, and it is the third holy place for Muslims when it comes to importance. As a Palestinian Christian also, we have the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, which is the most important also church there. So all these Israeli procedures were created, first of all, to dehumanize your experience going to your city, and to eliminate your access to the city, and to re-engineer your mind not to think again to visit your city in the near future. So all these difficulties were created by the Israeli administration to avoid you from enjoying your normal life. Eventually, as maybe a young man or a young woman looking for your future and looking for your freedom, your own freedom, maybe you will try to immigrate, or you'll try to leave your country. So this is the main purpose. This is the main issue they are trying to create. But of course, it's not working, because the Palestinians are survivors, and they just have that connection to their homeland.
And now moving on, over the past 3 weeks, we've been seeing, yes, and I think so, thanks to social media, uh, the popular narrative about Palestinians who are just rock throwing males. They have, the popular one which could have been taken back from 10 years ago, of these
Yeah.
young teenagers and maybe earlier just throwing on stones at Israeli soldiers and that, and that was what we were trying to believe, that maybe uncultured and just, in that way of terrorists
Yeah.
way. But that narrative is changing because with social media, ordinary citizens from West Bank, from Jerusalem, from Gaza are sending images and showing real life situations where students can't go to school now, they're getting injured, their homes are being targeted in it. So slowly the truth is being, I won't even say narrative is changing. It's not about a
Yeah.
change of narrative. The truth is being revealed and people can see the situation for what it is, a humanitarian crisis of epic proportions. So I read an article recently by a South African journalist who's now based in Israel, Paula Slier, and she's appealing to journalists and the media to report on facts. So one of her facts that she stated in her article is this whole issue is actually intra-Palestinian conflict, political conflict that is ensuing in Palestine. How do you report that? I haven't read anything in terms of this, so that's why I said we can hear it from the horse's mouth, from the embassy level. What is this intra uh, Palestinian conflict that's playing itself that I've not heard of in terms. This is now coming from somebody who's based in Israel because they say this is the real thing, and the world is trying. The Palestinians are trying to hide this reality.
No. Le- As every normal society, we have divisions, but it's normal and it's healthy. I mean, it's unhealthy that there is only one color for everyone. This is unhealthy. The healthy thing is that you have division, but this division is not above your national cause and is not above your national aspiration. And there is nothing true about claiming that Palestinians are divided, rather than serving the Israeli propaganda that the Palestinians are divided. That's why we cannot sit with them. To whom we are going to sit and talk? This is not the reality. And the latest events showed that this is a false propaganda and it's not the reality because it was Gaza who defended Al-Aqsa
Mm-hmm.
Mosque. It was Gaza who defended Sheikh Jarrah. And it was Palestinians inside West Bank, inside East Jerusalem, inside Palestinian land of 1948, who were crying for Gaza when Gaza was under the heavy airstrikes. So no, we are one unity, united Palestinians, serving our own national interest. We want to enjoy life as all human beings as one unity. And when it comes to people, they want to live in peace, they want to live in dignity, they want to live as any other normal people. In this regard, I read some small tweet this morning about a Palestinian young girl. She said that despite the fact that I'm a Palestinian, I've never tried the knafa from Nablus. I never saw a lake. I never visited Jenin or Nablus or Ramallah or even Jerusalem, that's supposed to be my capital. Actually, I never stepped out my house located in Gaza. So you can see the tragedy that the Palestinians are living in, denied their freedom. That's what makes it hard for the Israelis to understand the reality of the plight of the Palestinian people because they do believe they only want to listen to what Netanyahu and the Israeli leaders from the right and far right really portray, but they do not know the reality. They do not know anything. I think it's time for the Israeli community to sit and to think about the image that received from their political leaders, because just across the checkpoint there are human beings who really want to live in peace and dignity with the Israelis. The equation is easy: live and let others live. That's why the Palestinians engaged in the peace talks in 1993, not because we want to abandon 70-80% of Palestine was occupied in 1948, but because we are tired of this vicious cycle. We do not want to see our kids slaughtered in front of our eyes. Despite that's why we engage in a peace process. But the result, unfortunately, is what we are in now. The result is that 30% of our land has been confiscated for the sake of Israeli settlements. The Israeli settlers numbers moved from 150,000 Israeli settlers in West Bank in the 90s, in the early 90s, till 700,000 Israeli settlers now. So what did we gain? We gained nothing. I think now it's time for the Israelis to sit and to review the policies that their government has been done, and to think about how to move on with the side by side with the Palestinian people, because it's our homeland. We are not moving into any other place. We are there and we will stay there, and they have to accept this reality. Otherwise, they are the one who should take their gadgets and move, not the Palestinians, because we are the indigenous people of the land, and this is a reality and will not change. This is something that their leaders in 1948, when they come and occupy Palestine, they say that the old will die and the young will forget. But they forget some important fact about Palestinians, that they are like seeds and they are growing. And it was also the Palestinians who were outside living in diaspora, in refuge, for the past 73 years, who are turning out into 7 million Palestinians, took the streets along with all the freedom loving nations around the globe, requesting dignity, requesting peace for Palestine. So I think they have to review what they are saying, because the mainstream media now is exposed by the social media, and this is something that cannot be hid for longer.
Thank you for the comprehensive experience. And I love what you said in terms of the Palestinian people are seeds of the soil of Palestine, because, yes, if you look at, they are people of resilience. And yes, rightly, we've all heard in 1948, the plan was by 2021, according to that plan, they weren't going to be any Palestinians around that time, but the Palestinian population is increasing. So Alhamdulillah, you can't keep a nation down, especially a Palestinian nation, who's full of life, full of resilience. But your struggle is our struggle, as we've mentioned. Tell us, how do we continue sustained support for Palestine? Which avenues are the more often we mean well in terms of our support for Palestinians, but long term, how do we best assist Palestinians in terms of bringing pressure on the government of, well, if it's Netanyahu, tomorrow it's somebody else, but the government and the leaders of Israel and also America, to say, because a good thing out of this is even ordinary American citizens are not saying no more arms to Israel. We need money for our healthcare, for our social system. We need money for Americans, and not money to be sent to assist Israel become a stronger killing machine, so to speak. So this message to all South Africans: how do we support you in a sustained support that will mobilize into a real change? And inshallah, I always say, and I said it in Ramadan and I made dua, we are going to see a democratic Palestine, in a free Palestine in our lifetime. As we sit here one day, inshallah, soon in the near future, I'm going to embrace you, my sister, as a free sister who is going to travel to Masjid Aqsa whenever she feels like it, not to have a permit, because I have that privilege and I'm from South Africa. And if okay, COVID apart, if I felt I needed to go, I could jump on a plane. I don't even need a visa prior to this. You just sit and get your visa there. And I have this privilege, and I've tasted kunafa, and it breaks my heart, as you were speaking, that a young a child from Gaza, a Palestinian, has not tasted kunafa from Nablus, or didn't even feel like it is to walk. I always say Jerusalem is you're walking in the footprints of the prophets, alayhi salam, all of them. So it's a very, very special place. You can feel the connection to spirituality. I'm Marriam, so when I went there, I said, our mother Marriam alayhi salam, I felt the connection that this was her lane of plenty, her lane where her du'as came through, of fruits out of season. She was gifted and blessed. So it's a very, very special place for everybody. And you live 100 kilometers away and you've never even seen what it would be like there. So inshallah, I would like to go to the girl and be the first one and say, let's go together to pray. And it's not a dream. For me, I'm
No.
hopeful, and inshallah, this is going to be a reality with our dua, with our action. We stand up, we speak up, and we show up. So tell us how to stand up, speak up, and show up for Palestine.
First of all, let's talk internally inside South Africa. Uh, First of all, I would love to salute the South Africans for their unwavering support that they show for Palestine, and I really would love to honor them for that love they show for Palestine and for that appreciation they show for humanity. And this is very much important because no one can understand the plight of the Palestinian people like South Africans because they have been there. They have been there under apartheid regime, suffocated into small Pentostans, and dealt with them the same way that the Israeli apartheid is dealing with the Palestinians now. So we can recall the experience. How? First of all, by the education. We want the discourse about the Palestinian issue to stay alive in the minds, the hearts, the consciousness, and the subconsciousness of the South Africans, especially the young generation. So, raising awareness is very much important in schools, in universities, in churches, in mosques. Whenever we have the chance to raise the awareness about the plight of the Palestinian people, let's do it. We are open and we are keen to keep this discourse alive. This is an important issue, especially among the young generation. And it's easy here because we can easily connect it with the legacy of the Mediba of this country. So it's easy, important, doable, and accessible. Then, when it comes to boycott BDS, boycott, divestment, and sanctions, it's important to really work according to this issue. Let's look at the goods. Let's raise awareness of customers about the goods that are coming from Israel. Let's raise awareness of our people, of the South African people, about what's going on in Palestine, why you shouldn't buy these products coming from an occupying power. Uh, Another important element. On the international forum, we do believe that the South African government, whether represented by His Excellency President Ramaphosa or the DERCO, they were very clear about this issue and they were very vocal, inconsistent with their principled position from the Palestinian cause and the human rights law. Uh, so we need them to support us in UN Security Council, and they did a great job doing
Mhm.
so in the past. To support us in the African Union and to support us during in the SADC group. We are talking regionally now, and to support us internationally by bringing Israel accountable to its deeds, which amount to war crimes in many cases, if not in all cases, uh, in this matter and in this regard. Uh, to South Africa to lobby for the sake of the Palestinian cause. This is also a very important thing, and we do believe that it's doing its um, this work out of love, out of solidarity, and out of support, and we can't ask more from South Africa. From Asalam Media, we salute all South Africans, and we want you to support Palestine as one and united, without division. Gaza is Palestine, West Bank is Palestine, East Jerusalem is Palestine. Palestinians inside the Palestinian land of 1948 is also Palestine. So the dynamics of supporting Palestine should be one and united. And this is the discourse that we would love to hear from the South Africans.
It's been a pleasure. It's been insightful, empowering, so to speak, as well, and really educational. We thank you for your time. We know you have an exceptionally busy schedule. Everybody wants a piece of you in terms of lending to the campaign and supporting the campaign. And we thank you, and we thank you for your perseverance for this campaign and being here in South Africa and educating us. And as I said, as a believer, we never ever we don't feel sad and we don't feel hopeless in a situation. We believe in the mercy and the power of Almighty, and we believe, inshallah, as Al Aqsa was liberated in the past by giants and illuminaries. It will be, inshallah, Palestine will be liberated and Palestine will be free. And I make that dua and I continue, and today's Friday, so we continue making dua the day when duas are most accepted, that inshallah we are going to see a free, liberated Palestine in our lifetime, and to live with together with everybody, including everybody from the Abrahamic faith, including the Palestinian Jewish people, the Palestinian Christian people, because after all, that is what humanity is, to live in peace and harmony. And that is the way of our Prophet, peace be upon him, to be the diplomat and to live in peace and harmony. And as you say, inshallah, Palestine will be free. We are one. All of us, we are one. And shukran for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure to having listened to you and providing insight into what's happening both in Palestine as well as your perspective, your South African perspective. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace and blessings to all our listeners. And this has been a special broadcast on Salam Media, your online humanitarian portal from the residence of Her Excellency Sister Hanaan Jarrar here at the Palestinian Embassy in Pretoria.
Thank you.